Hi guys. So looking at me, you can see how sunburned I am. Made a video there, and it's yeah, I was out in the sun all day. I do love the sun. So let me get rid of this now. Sorry, something's after popping up. Just click out of that. So making my Six Nations team of the tournament as a whole, best players that I feel throughout the whole tournament, and I wasn't being influenced by anybody else. I kind of see other people's points of view, but as people always say, it'd be no fun if we all agreed. So let me know what you think of my team. I want to show you something very interesting. So if you're like me and you love rugby stats, this would be something now that I'd like to show you. So there's a really good page on RugbyPass, which I'll show you right now. We kind of, yeah, let's see it now. Sorry, one moment there. Yep, we're on. There we are. So it's RugbyPass and it's the Guinness Six Nations stats. It shows you a whole lot of things here, fixtures and results, but we go into that. Want the Six Nations. And it'll also just help in kind of determining why I picked the team that I did. We look at all the different stats. You can look at teams and you can look at players. So we look at it here. Like we look at tries. France obviously miles ahead of, well, England caught up, you know. So we just go through it, just to kind of highlight and hammer home a few points, like France did. And I think that sums it up, really, doesn't it? Like France gave themselves such a buffer by having so many points. Like they scored so many tries, 30 of them, to be precise. So if you break that down, there's 5 games that each team plays. So divide 5 into 30, you get six. That's 6 tries every game that France get. Obviously some games they didn't, but they scored 3 against England. Would have got more if they could actually hold on to the ball in that game. It was like they covered their hands in soap, soap slippy or butter, whatever. But it just goes to show points and tries win games, don't they? I mean, I know it's a cliche. I feel like Michael Owen quotes here, but no surprise on this stat. England love to kick, don't they? I was actually kind of happy to say that we're the lowest on that stat. We've kicked the least out of any other team, but I guess you got to kick smart, don't you? And I feel like that's something we need to do a lot more because you think about it, Ireland is a Gaelic football nation, so we kick smartly, we'll win the game, but we just didn't do that, and it cost us in the end. Tackles, yeah, Italy usually have to make a lot of tackles, as you can imagine. Um, which will explain why Sebastian Negri and Jack Morgan are both top of the tackle stats. That's why even more so I put Francois Grow on my team because France are third in this list, and yet he's the third top tackler, so he's doing all the hard work. But don't spoil it. I'll go through it with you. Um, you can see it here in terms of tries. That's actually gas because that's exactly how the table finished. So tries literally do win games, and if you're not good off the boot, like you're screwed. You know, Italy averaging 2 tries a game, and Scotland have a really good attack. They really do. I feel like Ireland really like you look at those tries that we scored. We scored one more than Scotland, but most of them are by our forwards. 11 of these tries are by our forwards. 5 by Dan Sheehan, 3 by Jack Conan. Right, then Caelan Doris scored one. Also had just thinking now, Caelan Doris got one. That puts on 9. Um, who else got our tries? Tyke Byrne got one against England, of course. It's 11. Need one more. Who else got it? Um, Josh van der Fleer. Not Ryan Baird. Ooh, just gotta think now. Ah, yes, of course. Proper church, like Kane Healy. He got one. All our 3 tries against France came from forwards. So yeah, that's not good, is it? And 2 of them by replacement forwards. Like, as boring as England's attack can be, like the most kicks, but they also have the most tries, second most tries. more than Ireland. 8 tries more than Ireland. Like that's just. I feel like we should have got more. I really do. Um, so like points, obviously, whoever has the most points scored will win as well. But it literally is exactly the same as how the Six Nations table finished. You know what I mean? So, and look at this stat here: the least amount of tackles made. But that's not a case of we had the least amount to make. It's just that we miss an awful lot of tackles. We really do. Like we're always bottom of the tackle stats. We don't make enough of them. You know, we're not good enough in the collisions. So, like, obviously, you'd imagine Italy and Wales would have to make an awful lot of tackles, given that they're poorer teams and would have to be defending a lot. But Ireland making the least amount is not because we've got such a great attack, because if we did, we'd be higher up on this, but we're not. It's just a case of we're not clinical enough. We're also not good enough in defence. We got broken far too easily. Let's look through a few more stats. So there's a bit of head to head here. Um, and we'll even have a look. This is a really good one. So let's look at we compare France and England, then we'll compare Ireland and Wales and Scotland and Italy. So let's have a look. So we look here now, and you see where France obviously are better. Penalty goals and conversions. Tomo Ramos has been amazing off the tee, but they've actually lost quite a few turnovers. You know, and that's the thing. Um, France are a very, explosive, open, unstructured type of team. So when the ball breaks in play, they're great at counter attacking. They're brilliant at it. You know, they're one of the best, and they've got the speedsters to do it, like BL Barry, obviously, LBB, Labib Beep, Damien Penaud, Tomo Ramos, brilliant, such a good kicker. Um, and Antoine Dupont, obviously, with Roman Ntamak, they can cut you open from anywhere. Matthew Jalibert was actually all right against England. Like France were lethal in attack. It's just that he couldn't make anything stick. And obviously, they blamed Matthew Jalibert on that because he didn't play another game for France. Ruthless, Fabien Galtier. But we look at these stats now. So turnovers lost quite a bit, yeah, 15 to 11. Um, but all these stats going in France's favour, and in particular, more tackles completed, 2% more, but it's pretty good. Then we look at points on a head-to-head basis, penalty goals, double the amount of England. France are more in the carries as well. You know, they've had to make more tackles, but their tackle completion has also been better. So really good. Francois Crowe is obviously making up that number. There's a few stats that are doubled up on here, but England have actually beaten more defenders. So that'll show you, won't it? More clean breaks by France, more offloads. Exactly like I was saying, unstructured rugby is what they love. When the ball breaks in play and it's open, they cut you apart. They're like a Pacific Island team, like Fiji in that regard, but they also have the ability to, you know, be disciplined, have that rolling ball, the default that they can use, and they're obviously much more disciplined in defence as well. They're such a good team, and obviously because they won the Oak in the end. Right, so we do another one now, and actually go with Ireland. So let's have a look now, and then we're going to compare it to Wales. Less turnovers lost, which is good to see. More penalty goals taken, not as many conversions. We didn't score as many tries, naturally. Yeah, very few drop goals, wasn't there? I guess there were no games that went right down to the crunch, but very few. That England game against France was great to watch, though. England have beaten more defenders than have scored more tries, more clean breaks, more meters carried. France obviously dominated that stat, and more kicks, but I don't even mind that one. But look, more tackles missed again. Only two more now, I might say, but England have made more tackles and missed less. That's the stat that I really want to hammer home. And the dominant tackles, they've doubled. And that just shows you, doesn't it? The physicality is a thing that is really a weakness for Ireland. Like we just do not make dominant hits like we should. Um, and obviously Ireland's the team I care about the most, so that's the team I'd be looking at. But even compare that to France because lineouts won quite good, and considering how poor we were in the lineouts, I'm impressed that we have up that stat. The lineouts have been noticeably a lot better. But we will compare this to France now. Um, it's all blue. They literally dominate us in every stat, you know. Look at that. Not good. 800 more meters than us. England have really done well in the dominant tackles. Like France only have 11 more than us. More turnovers lost, but such a good team. Do you notice there that England had 50 penalties conceded? The discipline's not good. They just haven't been punished for it in the cards stats. France have, unfortunately for them. But yeah, dominant tackles. Here we are. Missed tackles. Let's look at this again. Like so, England haven't made as many as France have. France have made 22 tackles more than Ireland, and they have missed 20 less. Made more dominant tackles, and that's exactly why. More defenders beaten. Obviously, 13 more tries. So it's no wonder why they're ahead of us. Yeah. All right. We pop in Wales. So if you look at that, even more tackles completed, better percentage, and like look at this. Like we struggle to beat Wales. Let's not forget that 59 penalties conceded, 4 yellow cards, so quite poor discipline. But I know, like you could obviously say, like we finished well above Wales. They got the wooden spoon, so what the hell does it matter? But this is something that should concern us right now. Okay, so naturally we've more points than them. Yes, we do. Of course we do. But they've beaten more defenders, right? Which just shows, even with the limited possession they've had, because they've been poor. They've had nothing in attack. So from the game against France, they were pummeled 43-0. Let's not forget that. They were beaten 68-14 by England. Against Italy, they had nothing really. They were box kicking the whole game. So the fact that they had more defenders beaten, and I wonder how many of those are Blair Murray. And then they also have more dominant tackles, like 62, literally double the dominant tackles that we have. Um, Even on lineouts, they've made Jesus. Yeah, well, you'd expect that you would like 62 more tackles, but also they've missed 26 less. And that's a worrying stat for Ireland. It really is. It's something that I really worry about us because dominant tackles are something we should be doing more of. We're too weak. We don't make enough big collisions. Or should I say we don't win enough big collisions. More clean breaks, which is good to see. One more offload, more tries. But yeah, like we're very poor in the tackle area. Defense is clearly an issue for us, And you think to yourself, right? So naturally, the more tackles you have to make, the more you're likely to miss. So we should not be ahead of people in this, yet we are, and we'll do it with Italy as well, because you know what they're like. They're a poor side. They've improved a lot, but still they would be bogey team. And you look at this now. So more penalty goals kicked, more tackles completed, better percentage. Only one more defender beaten. Probably Tommaso Menoncello's the one doing that. But let's look at it get like 79 dominant tackles. Again, we're behind in that stat, and they've actually missed more tackles than us. So it's finally good to see us come out the right side, but they've only missed 7 more tackles than us. And yeah, they have made 125 more. So yeah, you be the judge. Discipline's also been quite poor for them, especially against us. You look at the yellow cards and the red cards; those two were against Ireland, and then one of the yellow cards was against us also. I don't buy this whole thing that Ireland's discipline is poor. I just think that we get pinged more harshly a lot of the time. I feel like we need to get rougher, more confrontational. Now, if you look at this, here's a problem now for Scotland, but again, more dominant tackles, you know. So they miss less than us. They've also made less than us, so I wouldn't be too worried about this. Um, but 89% tackles completed, not bad. Lots of defenders beaten, and that'll be their back line, which is very good. The likes of Darcy Graham, Tom Jordan, who I mentioned, who was a smashing player, um, Hugh Jones, who hasn't been at his best. I expected a lot better from him, but smashing player on his day. Doohan kind of turns it on against England and then goes missing for a few games, but definitely contributes. Blair Kinghorn, basically the whole team. The back line is quite good for Scotland, to be fair. More carries though, more meters made again, clean breaks. Yeah, if you look at it here, and 63 more tackles missed, and quick maths, still now 19. Yeah, okay. 131 more tackles. I'm just doing that right. So yeah, sorry. 133 more tackles than Scotland. Make sure my maths is right there. Yeah. So stinging 19 will make up 600. Then plus the 14 is 33, then 100. Yeah, 133 more tackles made, and we have missed 63 more. But then Scotland making more dominant tackles, and that's the thing. So that's tackles where you're winning the collision, driving them back. So you're not just falling back with the player. Had a bit of a brain fart there. 133 more tackles made. Just did the quick maps. Penalties conceded. Here's the thing that I'm always concerned about though. How is our discipline worse? Like people keep saying it about Ireland, but more penalties conceded by Scotland. I feel like we're not cynical in the right areas. You don't give away the smart penalties. People say we're great at the dark arts. I beg to differ. But that is the stat that really worries me is that we're losing the dominant tackles every time. Other teams are making more dominant hits. And that would really concern me as a coach if I was Faz and I've been told I look like him. Yeah, I would like to see us improve on our tackle stats. So even just we go back to England on that one. Yeah, like nearly double the dominant tackles. They've missed less. They've made more. Um, more meters made. Again, that really worries me. Clean breaks. More defenders beaten. So they're making more dominant hits. They're missing less tackles. They're making more tackles. So that's like not even just massive big collisions, but they're actually completing more. Which is funny when you consider that Alex Mitchell, Henry Slade, and Ben Earl were all top of the missed tackle stats. You know, which is why Ben Earl didn't get into my ultimate team because you're a back rower, you got to make tackles. And as good as Alex Mitchell is, I feel like Ben White has been better. Um, and Alex Mitchell is a bit of a liability in defence, so couldn't put him in. But yeah, just to show you that again, more missed tackles and less tackles completed, and also dominant tackles are heavily on England's side here. And if they say they've bigger men, they do, yeah, but we're just not picking the big men. When we look at France, yeah, like again, 20 less missed tackles, but they've also made 22 more and then 11 more dominant tackles. You have to remember as well, like the reason for that being would be that France are dominating possession. Like you look at their meters made, it's incredible. The clean breaks, offloads, defenders. I would have thought they'd have more for defenders beaten, if I'm being honest, but I guess that's because BL Barry steps one guy and he's just gone. Um, and what France are very good at is cutting teams open. So against England, like England could have lost that game, But I feel like the reason why France didn't win is because they couldn't catch a ball. But England are good at the one-up dominant hits, which they've obviously proven, but they're not very good at when the ball goes wide. They get cut out very easily. So saying about Tommy Freeman, as good as he's been in attack, that right wing for England has been where most tries have been scored for opposition. So you think all of Scotland's tries, three of them came down that left wing. Three of Ireland's tries came down the left wing or left wing for us. I mean, and Bale cut England apart. He would have had a hat trick if it weren't for a brilliant tackle by Ollie Sligo. And then obviously down the left wing, Damien Penault got a try set up by Bale. But yeah, the stat that really bothers me for Ireland is the tackles and also the lack of defenders beaten. And we even go into Wales. Yeah, again, they have more defenders beaten than us. So we can't break through tackles and we also can't make them. Like for a team as poor as Wales have been, they've had to make more tackles, 62 more tackles. But that's failing me. No, it's not this time. But then missed 26 less. And then literally double the dominant tackles. So when they do have to make them, they are making the big collisions. And Jack Moore going to be a huge part of that. But they're also making more meters than us. They're carrying more than us. They're beating more defenders. And that's the thing with Ireland. It's a real boring style. They are like robots in many ways. Just not that go forward ball that you want. Italy, one more defender. You're not going to get too pissed off about that. But they've missed more tackles, but they've had to make an awful lot as well. So, but again, you know, well over double the dominant tackles. It's a worrying one for Ireland. Like 48 more dominant tackles. You know, and should we really be celebrating the fact that we have more meters and more carries than Italy? I don't think we should. Um, yeah, not impressive. We look at it here now. So we look at the player stats here. Let's go into it so you can see the key stats here. So they look at that. Jack Morgan. I watched this before it was updated, so wanted to go into it again just to make sure it was updated. Biel Berea thought got 9 tries, no? Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he got two against Italy. He got two against us, how could I forget? Two against England, two against Wales, and then one against Scotland, I thought. But, well, that stat is justified anyway. Jack Morgan has been a beast, contributing so much. And in fairness to Van der Fleer, are always high on those stats. Francois Crowe, absolute machine. Most points by that man, Ramos. One of the players of the tournament. Him and this man here, BL Barry. I wouldn't even really care too much about that stat for Alex Mitchell because his nose is like the other side of his face. Wonder how many times it's been broken. Maybe only once and reset poorly, but must be hard to breathe. It's going across his face. Like that one I wouldn't really care about that. That's not really a positive because England kick far too often and it's quite boring to watch. The points being scored. In fairness to Marcel Allen, he kicked brilliantly, has to be said. And Prendergast, to be fair as well, coming third in this. Louis Alvarado being up there purely with tries. Like that shows you the rest of these lads are up there with kicks mostly. Marcus Smith, I think, has 2 tries, and then Ramos has one. Does Tommaso Allen have any? I don't think he does. But here, like it's impressive. Like Dan Sheehan, a forward, come and join second in the tries. Like that is really good. When Jack Conan down here, but it's two forwards. The other players are backs, and that's what I've tried to hammer home. Fair play to Daffy Jenkins, though. Daffy Jenkins, real Welsh name. Do all Welsh people spell Jack but only a C and okay? Just let me know that. But yeah, very impressive. Those are the guys leading the way. And like, just want to even highlight the individual players. I mean, in fairness to Matthew Jalibert, he's only played one game. Be a bit hard to compare him to anyone. We can go down and have a look through this. So we will have a look. Let's have a look at our own Sam Prendergast, as he has been the main fly half for us, the wonder kid. So have a look through that. And bear in mind, Finn Smith came in late. So he didn't come in late, but he started against France and kind of went from there. We go now and have a look. More kicks by Prendergast, more points. He's been kicking off the tee for the whole thing, whereas Finn Smith, I don't know why he hasn't um, kicked the whole time because he looked a lot better than Marcus Smith, has to be said. More touches, more post contact meters, so pretty good by Prendergast, in fairness. Close on the meters carried and also the carries in general. But I will say I think Ireland play a much more attractive style to watch when it works. They carry a lot better. It's a lot more appealing if it works. Um, so that's what I would say. But England have 25 tries, Ireland only have 17. So, I mean, who gives a shit how appealing it is? I think England would be the happier of the two, to be honest. But looking at Finn Smith, and this is what I'm talking about, so you bear in mind, Sam Prendergast has started all games bar the Italy game, and he came on early enough in that one. Finn Smith has made nearly double the tackles, and they're also more successful, also more dominant. So that's the thing. Finn Smith would be my starting lines fly half, given how good he's been. And this stat would really impress me as well because he can kick. He's very good at kicking, but he also has the ability to defend if you need him to. And attack, very good, but also a solid defender. Yeah, 0.08 and 0.15. Don't know what the fuck that really means, but I guess it's how often he's involved in the tackles. Do you know what I mean? So your fly halves aren't going to have a huge amount of involvement in that. We go through it. So keep it with Prendergast and we'll go with Finn. We'll go with Finn Russell. So everybody keeps singing his praise, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, you see, like Prendergast has made more tackles, and Russell has started all games for Scotland. So, yeah, everybody keeps saying how great Finn Russell is, but I'm absolutely not convinced. Like, fairness here, Prendergast has made 7 more tackles than him, even though Russell has started every single game for Scotland. You know, um, came back. I thought he was going to be out for the England game, but he wasn't. One more defender beaten, more meters carried slightly, one more line break, but not as many points. So Sam Prendergast wins that one in fairness. 17 more points, more carries as well in fairness, and ruck effectiveness. The only ruck that I saw Finn Russell get involved in was the one where Itoje came over the top. Should not have been given that one, but he was. Don't know why. But like it's not a massively impressive stat by Finn Russell, So you think to yourself, everybody licks his arse and says how good he is, but is he really? I'm not sure. I don't think he is. Those stats certainly don't either. So we have a look at next. We'll have a look at Marcus Smith. Let's have a look. Fairness again, Prendergast, like, he's better in that. He's made more time, but then Marcus Smith is more dominant ones, you see. Prendergast getting more points, more touches as well. Good few more. But post contact meters, this is a big one for Smith because when he breaks through the line very well, which would be a big one for him. Only 3 line breaks, but He's been effective when he has made them, and over double the amount of defenders beaten and meters carried. So that's a big one for Prendergast, Marcus Smith. Sorry, not as many points scored, but an effective ball carrier and quadruple the amount of dominant tackles. That's the one I've been talking about. Fairness to Prendergast, though, he has that rooking stat going in his favour. Made more tackles, to be fair, you know. There's not as many dominant tackles as we had. Tomo Ramos, let's have a look at him. You want now? Be interested to see. There we are now. Yeah, but 10 more tackles by Sam Prendergast. The beaters carried and defenders beaten. The attacking stats be something now. You don't want your fly half to be a slouch, of course not, but Prendergast has had more touches, but again, Ramos making more post contact beaters, beating more defenders, more points, which is the big one, you know, and then he barely misses off the tee. He's so good. And now again he plays fullback, but I prefer him at fly half, so that's why I'm comparing him. And he's a kicker, so one turnover. He finally found someone who beat him at a ruck time. And the gas was winning on that count. There we are. Yeah, I was wondering who would you have starting a fly half for the Lions? Not even going to put Jack Crowley on this because I don't think it'd be fair. He hasn't been given enough game time. But we look at key positions, so fly half is obviously key, very key. I think what we might do now is go with the front row. So Andrew Porter, let's have a look. Beast of a man. We'll compare him to Tomo Ramos for kick stats, will we? Let's go with other loose heads. I was kind of thinking about making the Lions team, but I also want to just show you Six Nations stats when compared to players in the same position. So go with. I feel like we go with Alex Genge because he's a loose head for England. So that book shot there, trying to look like the hard man. Andrew Porter for me all day. One turnover, one. Not as many defenders beaten, but you look at the tackle stats, and also he's a better tackle completed. As many dominant tackles though. You think that he'd have more dominant tackles, but like for a prop to get through that many, it's very impressive. Um, yeah, you can just basically leave the points, the penalty goals, and conversion. Those stats are going to be blank, so it's handy enough to go through for the props. But as you say, over 10 tackles a game, given how effective he is, like he's a beast. They want about cut the penalties out, but more so Genge. We all know what he's like, don't we? So yeah, we just compare that to other loose heads. So Porter's our guy. Mm-hmm. Let's have a look now. Look at Danilo Fischetti because I put him in my dream team. So let's have a look now. Yeah, in fairness, pretty good reason why. Six dominant tackles, 83% tackles completed, 53 tackles. He definitely deserves to be in there. More defenders beaten as well. Um, they're equal on the turnover stats. More meters carried, so well, Fischetti's winning this one. But yeah, for the Lions, Porter's your guy. You compare that now, but it'll match up. So we go with Jean Baptiste Gros, I think. We have a look at him. Be interested to see that one now. We're getting to Jean. There we are. And he's been very good. I've been impressed with him. 92% tackles completed. And then he's averaging about 7 tackles a game. So pretty good. One yellow card. Carton jaune. This is a good stat for him, like 45 meters carried. So like when you're playing prop, um, really the thing is you're making the close contact carries. You know what I mean? So you're not going to have very high meters carried because you're the one making the big front on collisions. Your job basically is to be strong, be like a pillar. And in French, it's pilier, which makes perfect sense. You know, pillar. That's basically what you are. Um, be solid. You know what I mean? Scrum time. You know, I'd like to see scrum stats, but I should look. Guess looking at their stats individually, it's pretty good. And almost 100% tackles completed. So Porter makes more. So in fairness to him, we'll definitely cut him some slack because what a player he is. He's a beast. Um, Prone to giving away penalties, yes, but I wouldn't change him for the world. I wouldn't change it for the world, love. Yeah, so there you go. Then we have a look at somebody else. We go with now, actually. Um, Loops head props. Nicky Smith. We go with him. Have a look. Suppose you might as well over here. And given that it is a Lions year, may as well check them all. Or we go with Schoolman, Pierre Schoolman. Scooby. Jeez. Thank God he got a haircut because he was looking haggard, wasn't he? It's like one of those wild mountain men you see out in Appalachia. Mental looking. But yeah, see way down on this. So Andrew Porter averages over ten tackles a game. Scooban is on five tackles a game, and only 2% more completed, but more dominant ones. But now you take Porter all day, wouldn't you? Two line breaks, more carries, because he's more hungry for the ball. But that's what really impresses me about Andrew Porter is the fact that he does all the dog work that nobody else wants to do. You know, he really is. That's the type of player he is, and it really impresses me about this man here with the sexy mullet and the little beard. And we'll have a look. We'll move on to hookers now, actually. Who better to start with than the man who will start for the Lions, Dan Sheehan. Sheeno. And we're going to see just exactly why. Now, what I might do is I'll compare him to another man who's been tipped to start, which is Jamie George. Might go with Luke Cowan-Dickey because Jamie George has been off the bench quite a bit. So we'll go with Luke Cowan-Dickey, actually. Yeah, that's what we'll do. There we are. LCD. So, like, you remember I was showing the dominant tackle stats instantly? Like, Shane has more. He's made more tackles, so he averages almost 8 tackles a game, compared to 7 from Cowan-Dickey. Better discipline by one penalty. He's not a dirty player, Shane. No, you'd never say that about him. The man I showed you before, Scowen, is a dirty fucker. And tried to, well, he did shove this poor man over the horn. Lucky to not get a sanction for it. Don't know why he didn't, but sure, look, that's beside the point. Ruck effectiveness. It's another one in Shane's favour. Like, look at that. Post contact meters, excellent. Touches, excellent. 6 defenders beaten. Meters carried, yeah, 4 times, over 4 times. One line break, must have been against England, but the dominant tackles and 5 tries. Like, come on, he is your only guy. Sheeno is your only man. Cowan-Dickey doesn't even come close. So we have a look at Piotr Movaka now. That'd be one I'd be interested to see. Just want to say, like, wonder what your thoughts are on the Movaka headbutt because I think intent has to come into it, and if intent does come into it, um, he definitely should get a heftier sanction, because he definitely went from that is Ben White on the ground. Stupid stuff. Good player, but an absolute brain fart. 2 turnovers, one, more meters carried, but Shane again, more defenders beaten, 5 times more tries, more pops contact meters. And I mean, people would say Malvaka's one of the best in the game, you know. So Dan Shane. I had Malvaka in my ultimate team, like my world 23, but Dan Sheehan was injured at that stage, and he's definitely proven that he's good enough. Because you think to yourself as well, if I thought between Piotr Movaka and Dan Sheehan, who'd have more dominant collisions, I'd go with this man. I think Piotr Movaka all day. Sheehan is just a beast. More unassuming, you might say, but boy, does he get through the work. And a player that I picked on my bench, Giacomo Nicotera. Nicotera. Is that what they call nicotine patches in Italy? Nicotera patch. It's a stupid joke there. We'll move on. There we are now. More tackles made now, and then more dominant tackles. And that's kind of what's impressed me. And then three turnovers, which is exactly why I've been impressed with Nicotera because he does all that donkey work, but stupid getting that red card. Really stupid stuff. But again, Shane leads the way. Tackles made, so he's close to 10 a game, which is very impressive for the hooker. Not as many completed though, so that's the thing. But dominant collisions, he's been a physical presence. And just as it is the Lions year, what we'll do is we'll compare it with Jamie George, just to give you an idea of where we're at. We go with, see, Dave Cherry wouldn't be my choice now, but we'll see what his stats are like. Yeah, so averages 7 tackles a game, 92% completed, 3 turnovers, one. Not bad at all, to be fair to him. Yeah, no defenders beaten though, and yeah, look, I'm just more of a fan of Johnny Matthews or Ewan Ashman. I feel like those two should have been the hookers for Scotland, especially with Dave Cherry's poor disciplinary record, you know, just so you can see it there. And we'll go with Jamie George now. Let's get into it because no doubt he will go on the tour. How much of an impact he'll have, I don't know. He'll probably be there as a leader. So 5 tackles a game, 1 turnover, one. Not very good on the old carries stats, but he's a leader, and you need a player like him. It's like what Rory Best was to Ireland. Like Rory Best doesn't have the flair or the talent that Dan Sheehan has, but he's a very good leader, and that's exactly what you want. You need someone who'll bring everybody together and lead on the pitch. Dan Sheehan's your only man. We go with tight head props now, and let's get into it. So, Billy Beardham actually has done all right. Like he's impressed me in parts. So put him there, and we compare him now. Um, let's see now who we compare him with because I feel like a lot of the tight head props have been quite boring. And to be honest with you, it is quite a boring position, isn't it? But Aldegheri hasn't really played much, come off the bench. But let's see, who will we compare you to? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? All the props are last in the alphabet on the tie head side. Joe Hayes not really played either, to be honest. So Azarati, same, kind of off the bench. I don't really want to be wasting my time with that. We'll just go down because we're going to go to Will Stewart and Xander Vegas and right down the bottom. There they are. Go with Will Stewart because I've been impressed with him, like I said. So, but look at Finley Beatham. Like in fairness to him, you got to say that's very impressive. So 8 tackles per game on average, almost 100%, like 5% off 100. That is pretty impressive. It's got to be said. 2 turnovers, one as well. Like in fairness to him, he's not the most exciting player in the world, but I feel like he kind of gets underappreciated, and I'll admit underappreciated by me. You always think, oh no, beat him starting or whatever. But to be fair to him, like that is an impressive stat. I mean, you consider like tight head props are the anchors, so scrummaging is kind of their thing. But like, look at that. That is very impressive. That stat. Like his tackles are very dominant. I always thought he was quite good at that low tackle. And Will Stewart's a bigger man, but he's not as fit as Bale. Couldn't last as long. But again, I've been impressed with Will Stewart. So look, I'd be tempted to take Finley Beedham, and he can play both sides as well. He can play tight head and loose head. So not the biggest in the world, but in fairness, definitely justifying his selection for sure. Not just covered for Tyg Furlong. We go with Xander Ferguson. Yeah, all the tight heads are down at the bottom. Winnie Antonio as well. But again, impressive stat for Ferguson. So no turnovers, one, but he's close to 9 tackles a game, very high in the tackles completed. Him and Balen would certainly not let you down in defence, but penalties conceded. Finley's doing well. Xander, you ain't. More carries though as well, and more meters carried. So you're going to have to think of that. Got to take the good with the bad. But Balen getting turnovers, it's impressive, got to say. Then we look at Weenie, big Weenie, you big Weenie, the beast. Was hoping to see him when France were training, but it was a closed training, unfortunately, so you couldn't. Yeah, so like not even 5 tackles a game. I feel like he was dying out there. He was gassed, but I love the guy. He's such a legend of the game. Um, Weenie really is one hell of a beard as well. 3 turnovers, pretty impressive. 2 dominant tackles, but you see, like he's only made 22 tackles, so he's making just over 4 tackles a game, and he's only got 76%. But he's coming to the end of his career. He has been outstanding, and you gotta love the guy. He's such a legend of the game. Um, so yeah, we'll leave it there for tight heads. I think for me it'd be between. I would have said. Right, just gonna sneeze for a second. No, all good. So for me, it would be between obviously Balaam. I'd say he definitely deserves a spot there. Sander Fagerson, Will Stewart, Tyg Furlong also. And if you got 41 men to allow take with you, that really opens it up, you know. Um, the loose head side, Andrew Porter, Ellis Genge, Freddie Pierre Schoolman, and let's take. Yeah, I'm just thinking who you might take with you. I don't know. It hasn't been great for the front rowers. And I feel like that's the thing with the Lions. Before you used to think to yourself, you've got a prime Joe Marler, Kane Healy, Ellis Genge, um, Rory Sutherland, that can go. Rory Sutherland's kind of been hit and miss recently. And then on the tight head side, you had Dan Cole, you had prime Tyke Furlong, you had Xander Fagerson in his prime as well. Um, Gethin Jenkins as well back in the day could play both side and back over the bowler. Um, yeah, like it just feels like there's kind of the best of a bad bunch now, And as you say, I'll be going through the Lions team, so I don't want to get too much into it. But yeah, we will move on to another important position and one that I know well. That is second row. Let's get into my man Tyg, who I was disappointed with him in a lot of ways, knowing how well he can play. I expected a lot more from him, but look, still a great player, and no doubt will be a line. Absolutely. Raw. Who better to compare him with than Maro Itoje? But just look at this for a second. So when I think of, just actually we'll leave it down here. So when I think of Tyg Bar, I think of turnovers and Weenie Antonio's getting more. No disrespect to Weenie Antonio, but Tyg Burn should be dominating for that. only two turnovers. Like I expect him to be winning jackal after jackal. But we will compare him to Maro Itoje. That'll be a good one, I think, to do, just because those two, I think, will be the ones that are going to be starting. So it'd be good to see them head to head. Better in the tackle stats. Don't like him, but he is a decent enough player. Concedes a lot of penalties. Tig's actually quite high on that as well, but the turnovers, five turnovers versus two, you know, just has a smug look about him, doesn't he? But yeah, you no doubt those two will be going together. More post contact meters. That's a turnover every game, pretty much. So that's what I would expect from Tig. More meters carried as well. So one try a piece or turnovers lost. So getting back some respect, Tig. Here's one now that I'm impressed with him by. So you know, getting about 12 tackles every game, 86% completed. It's not bad, it's pretty good. And he's a workhorse. Dominant tackles again, though. Quadruple the amount for Itoje. Itoje's technique is quite high, so he goes in very high. I know he's a big man, but yeah, it's just kind of bear hugs them and drags them to the ground. He runs the risk of getting penalised quite a bit. A fella who I will actually compare it to is Grant Gilchrist because he's a player who does a lot of the dog work again that nobody appreciates. No turnovers, one. Bit of a boring player, but like a player that can be effective, and definitely puts himself about. Surprised he's less penalties conceded than Tyke Barr. I thought Grant Gilchrist to be a penalty machine. About seven tackles a game. Makes most of them, in fairness to him, but yeah, not really much to go off there. Ollie Chesham's been someone who's impressed me, so we'll have a look at Ollie Chesham. There he is. There's Ginge. More dominant tackles. Tig still leads the way in fairness with tackles, so that's pretty good. It's what you want. More defenders beaten though. Yeah, and I found playing second row, you're not necessarily a tackle machine, but one game you might make more tackles, let's say, and then another game you're making more carries and hitting more rooks. It all depends. Whereas when I was in the back row, you're always, especially if you're six or seven, you're always top of the tackle stats. Um, Number eight, kind of carry a bit more, which is great. I love the carry because sometimes I used to get neglected in the carry. And people would be like, "Oh yeah, you're actually good at carrying." I was like, "Yeah, I fucking know." Just nobody ever gives me the ball, you know. Especially when you play type five, people assume that you're quite a boring player that you can't carry. It was like, I fucking can. Give me the ball. Thibaut Flamon is a workhorse, so he's a player now I'd like to compare him to. Not as many appearances you see, so only seven tackles on average a game. I'd say Flamon does more than that, but he only came into the team really in round three. So yeah, kind of hard to judge against Italy, and they dominated the ball, but he's a workhorse. He always puts himself about, and I think France have a tendency to be quite lazy, whereas this guy here leads by example and does the hard work. Tig's still coming out the right side. He's dominating people. Dafford Jenkins now is a player who's done very well in the tackle stats. That kind of workman-like player that Wales have always produced. Looks like a child, doesn't he? He is a child. Eight dominant tackles, though. Three turnovers, one. Sorry, Tig, you've been outdone on this occasion. That's very impressive, to be fair. So, just to put this into context, that's nearly 16 tackles a game. 78, if we're 80, then he's doing very well. That is very impressive. And then like with the dominant collisions, Dafford Jenkins, like in fairness to as poor as Wales have been, you gotta admire this stat. Like 16 tackles a game ain't bad. And then eight dominant tackles. an unlikely source, but with how poor the second rows have been, I haven't been overly impressed with them. But this man could definitely make a case for himself because Grant Gilchrist, Johnny Gray haven't been exceptional. Molly Chesham's been decent in parts, but again, not exceptional. And Itoje, I wouldn't make him captain. I just feel like he's too arrogant and he's got a tendency, to piss people off. So we would see, it's up to Andy Farrell at the end of the day. Mikael Guiar, so I put him in my team of the tournament. So I'm hoping he has some good stats. He's got a really good engine on him as well. So let's have a look at without Mikael. There he is. Yeah, I mean, again, 7 tackles a game. Only really got brought in as a starter in the Italy game. 3 turnovers, one, 92%, nearly 100% tackle completion. Really good carries. Tide leads the way in that, but more games. Post contact meters goes to Mikael. And this is why I wanted to make my ultimate team, based on who I was watching. And this man has really impressed me from what I've seen. Been very impressed. He's a good player, he really puts himself about well. Like the look of him, I think gets turnovers, puts his head in there, definitely one for the future, you know. So back row is going to be a heavily contested area, and so like just have a look at Jack Conan because I feel like although he's come off the bench a lot, he is a smashing player and has been unappreciated for far too long. So here he is now, and we will compare him with Tom Curry. Tom Curry has been exceptional. As annoying as he is, that's what you want with your you want your flankers to be a pain in the arse to play against. Tom Curry certainly is that. So let's have a look. So bear in mind that Jack Conan has made most of his appearances off the bench. So you just keep that in mind just for a second. Oh, sorry, after going down. He's a number 8/6, so more post contact meters, very impressive. You know, 8 tackles a game, again, very impressive. And he's completed them better than Curry. Now, Curry has more dominant tackles here, so 6 times more, but Conan, beast of a man. And 3 tries to only 2 by Tom Curry. And Tom Curry has started every game. Conan has been literally off the bench for 3 of them and then got injured in one. Turnovers, one, yeah, look, double the amount of Jack Conan, but Jackal Jack, Jackal Tom. When you start, you're bound to get more turnovers. But look at the meters carried. This is what Jack Conan gives you. He gives you everything, really. I don't regret picking him in my team because he's a beast. More defenders beaten for Tom Curry, which I find funny, but Conan makes more meters, especially post contact. As I say, very impressed with him. I think he's a machine. This man will get you, if you have them in the same team, he'll get turnovers. Jackal's on the ground, so will Jack. But this man's a better carrier than this man. So we'll move on. Let's go with Jack Morgan. The 2 Jacks, the Jackal Jacks. So, I mean, right off the bat, this stat is so impressive. The 10 dominant tackles, meters carried, basically a 1 man, 2 man team in the pack, and then Blair Murray. Like, if you were going off, and even as a kick to add to it, did he get a try? Like, who did Jack Morgan score a try against? Was it Italy? I thought that was a penalty try. No, maybe it was a try from Jack Morgan, but I thought it was a penalty try. A few conceded, but very impressive. So, like, let's put this into context for a second. It's nearly 18 tackles a game. That's very, very impressive. And almost at 90% completion. But see, look, Jack Conan leads the way in turnovers over Jack Morgan, and you think Jack Morgan is someone who competes heavily at the breakdown. More defenders beaten, but he's also started every game for Wales. So keep that in mind. Every time you think of, well, Jack Conan hasn't done as well, he has come off the bench in most games. This man has started every game. But in fairness, like that stat is so impressive. As I say, very important when you're a back rower to be doing that. Let's compare that to a man that has made my dream team also, Francois Crowe, another workman-like player. Yeah, so 14 tackles on average a game. Very impressive. Three turnovers, so they're equal. But again, and bear in mind, Jack Conan comes off the bench. He's dominated Francois Crowe in these stats, the attacking stats. Like, and you just think to yourself, if Jack Conan started every game, how good would these stats be? Now, it wasn't the best against Italy, but certainly wasn't that bad. He played very well. Just that Ireland didn't get going, really, did they? And that was it. Let's look at Gregory Aldrit because he's a very good player. But I feel like he was a bit quiet in this tournament. Let's see if the stats can give us a bit more. Such a good player, though. Yeah, well, four turnovers, one pretty impressive. Not his best tournament, but he's still such a good player. Averages 10 tackles a game, but the completion isn't great. Against Wales, he did have 20, and then a try scored. He's gotten two tries. So again, Conan scoring more tries than everybody. In fairness to him, and he's off the bench, as I keep mentioning. Yeah, close contact meters now are better for Aldrit, but bear in mind he has started every game. Jack Conan has not. But actually, use another Irish player now. I'm going to look at Caelan Doris because he's tipped to be the captain. So it's number eight that we're going to use now. Um, yeah, equal on tackles completed, two dominant tackles, four turnovers, one quite impressive. But Gregory Aldrit leads the stats and everything, and Doris has started every game for Ireland. So yeah, and let's have a look there with Ben Earl, the player who everybody is talking about. Yeah, almost 10 tackles a game, 80% completion, good on the turnovers, one stats, usually carries very well, good turnovers. Um, yeah, not too bad. These two, yeah, you see their tackles completed are quite low, percentage wise, and they're only making about 10 a game. Kind of thinking to yourself, like, should be better than that, really. Real serious heading him as well, isn't there? Oh, he's always jeering, going mental every time anything a knock on happens. It's Twindaloos, the curry balls. Quite low again for these two guys, but dominant hits, turnovers, and that's the thing with England. I noticed a lot of very like a low percentage of tackles made. Not as high as you'd think. Especially when you consider they base their game off territory, not possession. But I guess it's everyone working together to make big hits. That's what's really coming together for England. And they get turnovers, a lot of them. They really do. The girl has five, then six for Ben Curry. Tom Curry, we're going to look at him. We already did. The Twindaloo boys. Look at your brother, Ben. Ben and Tom. Hello, Tom. Yeah, so six turnovers each. We compare that. Who else? Anyone else that we really can? We got with Jamie Ritchie. He's a player who's done quite well, to be fair to him. Looks like his tackles as well. Yeah, so not very high on that. Seven tackles on average, but seven turnovers. So he leads the way in turnovers, to be fair. So there we are. All right. Then we'll have a quick look, I think. We have a look at centre. We'll have a quick look at that. So haven't been overly impressed with Ireland centres, I will say. So I'm going to put Menoncello because he's been exceptional. As you say, I wouldn't really have any Irish players in there because I haven't been overly impressed with them. We'll have a look at Gary Ringrose. We'll see if we can compare him. Not been his best tournament by a long, long way. I was expecting a lot more out of him, as good as he is. Yeah, Menoncello dominates. And then the negative stats, red card for ringers. Yeah, like Menoncello dominates every single stat there. Like 25 tackles, so that's only five a game, and he's only 63%. That's not very good in fairness, you know. Menoncello, like look at those stats. Unbelievable post contact meters, defenders beaten. Showing up ring rolls, unfortunately. I hate to say it. He's a good lad. He's a really good lad, and he's been a great player, but he's been showing up on these stats, unfortunately. Tom Jordan, a player who I would pick in the Lions, think he's smashing. Yeah, we see here, like he's a bit more respectable again. He, but this stat is very impressive from Menoncello, 83% completion, and like averages 12 tackles a game. None of the centres are getting close to that. Physical presence in there, isn't he? Really is. Yeah, oh, really good to be fair to him. There's another player I want to compare as well as Hugh Jones, player who I've tipped to be a line. Rawr. Let's put him in there now. See how he compares to Menoncello. Even less tackles, less completion. Nobody has nearly the amount of defenders beating their post contact meters. Nowhere near the amount of turnovers either. Jesus. We check Ollie Lawrence out. Menoncello was who we're basing off how to be the perfect centre. I know he's a 13, he's a 12, but even still, like, my God, what a beast. This lad is really something else. So yeah, Ollie Lawrence, have to remember for a sec. Player who I've been very impressed with. So let's have a look at him. I expected more on the top on the tackle stats. As well, remember he got injured against Italy, so I've been impressed with him. But Menoncello, yeah, he's just he's so far ahead. Really is. He's such a good player. More points and everything. Let's go with Bundy, the man, the myth, the legend that is Bundy Aki. Came off the pitch covered in blood. Jesus. Sorry, Bundy. More touches and more carries per minute, but you don't get near to Menoncello. Yikes. Tell you what we'll do now. We'll go with scrum halves. We're going to do every position on the pitch in no particular order. By that. Jamison Gibson Park. Want to get an Irish player back leading the way with some respectable stats. Just shows you what a smashing player Menoncello is, doesn't it? What a beast. Those defenders beating 20. Nobody's even close to that. And I thought Tom Jordan would get close, but nowhere near. So we are now Gibson Park to restore some respectability. That's even a word, I don't know. Ben White now as a player, as I said, really impressed me. So let's have a look. Yeah, you don't expect your scrum half to be making too many tackles, but dominant tackles for a scrum half, not bad. Averages about seven, pretty impressive. two turnovers, one. So yeah, and you're distributing the ball a lot, so you're not making all the meters, but that's what Jamie does. Yeah, three tries for Ben White, one against Italy, one against England, and one against Ireland. Good player, very good player. But we'll get you out of there now. Get Alex Mitchell in. Very poor on the tackle stats. That's a liability. I know it said the scrum half, you don't really care, but under 50% tackles completed, not great. And he's only made 16. So sorry, you're definitely not making the team. No, your tackles will not be undone by your kicks. You kick the ball 69 times. That's pretty useless. Kick is only as good as its chase, as they say. um, yeah, I've got to say, good defenders beaten, in fairness. And you always know because Alex Mitchell snipes so much. Actually, amazed he conceded any penalties, to be honest with you. Scrum halves usually don't, but yeah, he got in the team of the week, like, but got it twice. Gibson Park, though, is, even when he's not playing his best, you get more from him. And yeah, Mitchell does not score very highly on the tackle stats. And we'll use the man, the myth, the legend, Antoine Dupont. To be fair, though, Gibson Park not looking too bad when you consider Dupont has so many defenders beaten, 13. Um, Not bad. And then the post contact meters. Yikes. Even when he's not playing well. Geez, four penalties conceded. Mad. Scrum halves are giving away a load of them. Which is interesting to see. Well, yeah, all right. We go with Thomas Williams. I don't imagine his stats are going to be great now, but sure, we'll have a look. Oh, there he is, right down the bottom. Yeah, lots of touches to be fair, but lots of kicks also. Two penalties. Yeah, stats aren't great. A fellow who has really impressed me, I want to check him out, is Martin Pagerello for Italy. So let's have a look at him. Let's have a look. Let's check him out now because he has been quite impressive for me. I think he's a good looking player, handsome guy. He's not bad, Nothing negative to say. Yeah, he's quite good in his kicks and defenders beaten more than Gibson Park, which I'm surprised to see. Now he hasn't done very high on that, but certainly defensively, Gibson Park is very good for a scrum half. That ain't bad. Seven tackles, nearly 70% completion. You know what you get with him in attack as well. That's the thing. He's a very good player. And he had a few off games, but he is smashing. Definitely have him in your team if he was fit and available. No doubt about it. Maxime Luku, let's see now. Good stats for tackles completed. Now, I know he only averages over four a game, but remember that he came into the team late. So, again, like I said with Jack Conan, Luku did a great job. You wouldn't have even known Dupont was injured when Ireland played France, and likewise when Scotland played them. Very good box kicks as well. I was very impressed with his box kicking. He got some distance on it. Well, that's it for scrum halves anyway. So, I was thinking, might go with fullback. We'll do a back three now. So what I'll do is I'll get Hugo Keenan, who will be, you know, again, Ireland didn't really perform very well, but tell you what, we'll start in the left wing. Louis B. Albery leads the way. We'll have a look now. Yeah, BB. And then we will put James Lowe, another left winger. Bear in mind he also had an injury, so do keep that in mind. Like, again, five tackles a game, 78% completed. Very poor on the tackles completed by James Lowe. Not great, got to be said. dominant hits, four. He puts himself about Bielber. He's not just an attacking player. I thought he'd have more defenders beaten, but the fact more post contact meters by low. I guess that's because nobody gets a chance to put a hand on Bielber. He's just gone that quick. But yeah, three turnovers one as well, in fairness. But yeah, Lowe's tackles, it's always been an area of weakness for him. Attacking wise, very good, but defensively, found wanted. Do Tommy Freeman now. Let's see if he's missing tackles or if he's just abandoning his post. Yeah, not great on the tackle stats. Good attacking player, and he's a winger, so like you'd expect that he's more defenders beaten than BL Barry, which is quite impressive. Handsome guy as well, I will say. Yeah, there we are. BL Barry is a superstar, though. I even put Damien Penault up there because Damien Penault hasn't really played that many games. BL Barry is what we base it off. Go with Ange Capozzo. Mm, again, defensive stats I don't expect to be great. Let me have a look. All right. We're good in the defenders beaten, to be fair. Put Calvin Nash in. Let's have a look at Calvin. Only five tackles and 50% now. Remember, he hasn't really featured heavily for Ireland, so gotta try and win the games. But yeah, doesn't make for pleasant reading, does it? We go with Mac Hansen. To be fair to Nash, now he hasn't really played, so that's understandable why he wouldn't have the highest stats. But a good player, very good player. Yeah. Yeah, not much to go off, to be honest. Moving on to fullback then. Hugo Keane, a player who we've relied on heavily in Ireland. Let's see now. Yeah, not great in the tackles completed either, to be honest. And, Darcy Graham, because I haven't checked him out yet. Beats defenders for fun a lot of the time. Just kind of doing a back three, comparison. We will go with Blair Kinghorn for this because he's a player who I've been interested in. And Blair Murray's obviously the Blairs. Blairing it up. Dog together as well, it's nice. Yeah, see, not great defensive stats. Only 44% completed. So, but look at the defenders beating miles ahead of Keenan on that. Touches as well, and you want them to attack. Line breaks higher in that point scored. Carries, good player, Blair King on compared to another Blair. Blair. My man, Blair Murray. Blair Murray's a smashing player, such a good player to watch, and I feel like definitely one for the Lions. Put him in any other team. And you look at that there, 15 tackles, so no, it ain't bad. About three a game. Hugo Keenan gets about two a game. One dominant tackle, but let's look at the meters carried, the defenders beaten. Him and Kinghorn are leading the way there. A very good player, Blair Murray. I'm very impressed with him. We'll move to we go with now actually. Marcus Smith played fullback. Yeah, not really one you could base it on though, is it? We'll have a look at Marcus Smith's stats because he did move to fullback quite early in the competition. There he is. Yeah, Four tackles a game. Whoopie do. This is like foreign to me because I used to always make lots of tackles in the game. But I was in the pack, you see. So even yesterday, like I made quite a few and I'm out of shape. But Smith scores very highly in post contact meters. Very good in attack. Beats defenders for fun. Um, and points scored, you know. So yeah, guys, I just thought I'd give you a run through of that. I thought it'd be very interesting to have a look. Let me know what you think. I'm just going to go towards who's leading the way and who's doing the most for each team. We'll stop sharing that now. So we will head back to studio. Yeah, I just thought I'd go through the stats of the Guinness Six Nations with you just to show you and highlight who are the main players. I hope you enjoyed it. I love my stats, so that'll help you maybe decide who might make the Lions tour and who not, who won't. It'll be interesting. There's a few players who really need to step up. That they haven't been good enough in the Six Nations, but there's a few players who really have put their hand up and said, "Look, pick me. I'm good enough." And it'd be interesting. Let me know your thoughts anyway, just to give you a bit of stats because I love them myself. You can get that on RugbyPass for the Guinness Six Nations if you want to check it out. So I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.